Welcome to the Nebraska History Museum and the Noon Bites program, which is held the first Monday of every month that focuses on one object in the Nebraska Unwrapped exhibit. This month's speaker is Cheri Becerra-Madsen, who will speak about the racing wheelchair on view and an additional racing wheelchair. She is a member of the Omaha Tribe and is currently living in Nebraska City, so she's made a trip up here for us today. She's greatly appreciative. In January 1980, Cheri woke up from a nap at age 3, unable to walk due to an unknown virus. She was introduced to the wheelchair racing in 1994 and found quick success on the track. She qualified for the 1996 and 2000 Olympics and Paralympic teams, winning a total of 9 medals. She is a former world record holder in the 100, 200, and 400 meter races. After the 2000 Games in Sydney, Australia, she retired from wheelchair racing to raise a family. She has 2 daughters, Reese, who's age 13, and Milana, who is 10. In 2013, she decided to come out of retirement in the hopes of competing for the 2016 Rio de Janeiro Games, the Paralympic Games in Brazil. She qualified and brought home a silver medal in the 400 meter. So please help me congratulate and welcome Cheri Becerra-Madsen.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. I will just kind of give you a little bit of my background, a little bit of my story. Like she said, I was 3 and I woke up from a nap and couldn't walk. I remember that day. I remember going down for a nap and my sister coming in and saying it was lunchtime. And I told her, I can't get up. So she went and got my mom. My mom came into the bedroom. She picked me up. I fell. Picked me up. I fell. She did that a few times. She did not believe me. She gave me a little swat and she's like, quit messing around. She's like, well, we'll take you to the hospital. Maybe she thought she was going to scare me. Went to the hospital and I remember they took this thing that looked like a pizza cutter and they rolled it from my foot all the way up to my chest and there was nothing. We went to the Shriners Hospital, the Mayo Clinic. A series of tests were ran and they just said they did not know what happened, that I was perfectly normal and just couldn't walk. Over the years, kind of doing some research, it's called transverse myelitis. Now if somebody wakes up and they can't walk, they immediately administer steroids and they do things and normally you're able to get some type of function back. I've noticed for me personally over the years, the older I've gotten, the more feeling I have that I've returned. I don't think I'm ever going to walk again and I'm completely fine with that, but it's just one of those viruses that you really don't know what can happen or what can't happen. I always just felt like, things have a purpose and a meaning, and I've always been perfectly fine and perfectly content. Part of that is growing up with such a big family. There's 6 siblings, and the 4 of us are a year apart. So you can just imagine how extremely competitive we were growing up. We came from the generation where when it was light out, you were outside. And you didn't come home till it was dark. Figure it out, play. Growing up with my siblings, I climbed trees. We did lots of swimming. I was always very active. I hated being in my chair though. So my mom and dad, they got me kind of like a scooter with padding where I'd strap my legs in, and so I go around the neighborhood on a scooter with my arms. It's like I was always developing this upper strength. And swimming was a huge key in my physical ability. So in 1994 rolled along, and the best woman in the world came knocking on my door, asked if I had ever heard of wheelchair racing. I had no clue. She brought over a magazine and it's like, read this article. And 2 weeks later, there was a meet in Wichita, Kansas. That was the first time I'd ever seen a racing chair. I was a little apprehensive to try it because I knew I was fast in this chair. And all these kids, they were around my age, they were juniors, 18 and under, were in racing chairs like that. So Jim Martinson was there, and he is the designer of this particular chair. This was one of the first 3-wheel design chairs. And he let me borrow his chair for that competition. So we rolled up t-shirts and we put foam under me to kind of fit me in his chair. So it would be like you wear a size, I don't know, 4 shoe and you're going to run in a size 8. It was huge on me. I got in the chair and I beat everybody at that meet. My first time ever in the chair, and he's like, you need to get back and you need to get your own racing frame. He's like, you can go far in this sport. So we came back to little Nebraska City, had a local fundraiser, and this was the first chair that we raised funds. We raised funds for that chair, and I remember thinking in 94 to 96, I thought, wouldn't that be great if I could qualify for the Paralympics in 2000? That 2-year cushion, I wasn't sure because I was so young at the sport. And then when the 96 qualifying year came along and I was fast enough that I was able to qualify for the Olympics and the Paralympics. A lot of people don't know this, but during the Olympic Games 20-some years ago, they don't do it now, there was an 800-meter exhibition race that was for the females and a 1,500-meter for the men. So my big, huge first race was in Atlanta in 1996. I remember I was 19. I go out into the stadium and we competed right after the men's 100 meter. So there was 85,000 plus people in the stands. So I was super overwhelmed, and it was a rainy day, and it was an 800 meter, and I'm a sprinter. I love the 1, the 2, the 4, but I qualified for the 8. I was in lane 8, so I was in the lane far out. So you have to kind of break in after the first 200 meters. You come in, and I had to kind of jockey my way into position, and me and my coach had talked, and he's like, okay, after the 300 meter, break away from the pack. So at 300 meter, I did what he said. I broke away from the pack, and I got a gap, and the whole stadium just was like in an uproar because I had like the flag on. It was the best feeling. So I'm coming around the straightaway into the 100 meter straight, and I can hear her name, Louise Savage. She was Australian. At the time, she was the fastest woman in the world. And I was just a little thing. I am still tiny, but she was just always so much bigger. And I could hear her. It was like, ooh. I was like, here comes Louise. I knew she was coming. So coming up on my inside, I see a bright yellow glare coming up from the water. It was Jean Driscoll from the U.S. I'm like, okay, here's Jean. I'm running out of energy now. I'm like, oh. So there's the finish line. The first through 5th place, I finished 3rd. We were 0.5 of a second apart. Like, that's how fast we were. I threw my hand up in the air like I had won the gold medal. They have a picture captured afterwards. Louise looks relieved, Jean looks happy, and I look like I won. And it was the best feeling ever. And that is still my favorite medal to this date. After that was the Paralympics. And the Paralympics are parallel too. So they run alongside the Olympics. It has nothing to do with like a paraplegic, it's just parallel. So at those games, I won a silver in the 100 and the 200, a bronze in the 4 and the 8. The story behind that, I think I could have done better, but I listened to my mother, and I got a new frame probably a month before the competition, and you really should have 6 months to train in a chair to be 100%. So I blame her for that. But just my opinion. Because that summer and that June before August, I was in France, and I broke the world record in the 400 meters. So I had high hopes going into Atlanta that I was going to win a gold medal. I didn't, but I still had that world record, so I was okay. So my next goal was to the year 2000. I'm thinking, okay, I want more world records. I can do this. So I really buckled down. My training got more intense. I lifted weights to kind of get stronger to beat Louise, and it was going to be in her country, in Australia. I qualified once again for the Olympics and the Paralympics. My Olympic experience was not nearly as glorious. It was a learning experience. I went into that race, that 800-meter Olympic race, with the fastest 800-meter time in the world. Not the world record, but that year I had the fastest time. I had a plan. I was going to go out straight from the front, because there's a lot of tactics. It's kind of like NASCAR. You want to get behind one another, and you want to save your energy and come out and around and sprint. But you don't want to get boxed in. Then you're going nowhere. Let's just say I got boxed in. So I go around that first 200 to that 300-meter mark, and I hear a gun. So I think that I must have false started or something. So I sit up and I look around, and here comes the rest of the racers. And I was like, ugh. So they kind of come around me, and they boxed me and Chantel. She was one of the fastest women in the world. She was from Canada. I remember her coach before the race said, "Stay behind Becerra." I'm like, oh, great. I heard it. She's going to try to out-sprint me. So normally on a track, we're going anywhere from 16 to 17 miles an hour. Once, Louise from Australia, and there was Wakaku from Japan and Angela Hernandez from Mexico. Once they got in around us, they slowed us down to 13 miles an hour, and we were stuck. By the time we get to the 100-meter sprint, they fall out in between each lane, and we just couldn't get around. So I ended up finishing 4th, and she ended up finishing 5th. Really super disappointed. I was, So I went to the Paralympics 2 weeks later. I was over the 8. I'm like, I'm going to focus on my sprints, because that's what I knew I could do the best in. So the 100-meter, I broke the world record. It was a great race. It was awesome. The 200-meter, the semifinal, I broke the world record in the semi. I was like, yeah, I'm going to get gold. I did not get gold in the final. The start of the 200-meter, starts are so important in such a small amount of time. I slipped. I didn't get a good push, and she got me just by that much at the finish line. So the Canadian, Chantel, brought home the gold in that, but I brought home the world record. And then the 400-meter, I won the gold and still had my world records. And my world records lasted until 2008. So after 2000, I decided to retire and start a family. I have 2 girls. My oldest was born in 03. My youngest was born in 06. Remember in 2007, my brother Mario, he was the baby of the bunch. He says to me, when do you start racing again? I'm like, are you crazy? I just had a baby. Like, it's the furthest thing from my mind. And I had heard people in Nebraska City, they would come up to me and ask if I was ever going to do it again, and I'd always be like, nope, I'm good. And when he would share, in 2007, he was like, you need to do it again. The girls need to experience this. Some of his favorite memories was traveling with me. He went to Sydney. He went all around the country with us. He was just a little guy, 3, 4 years old. And so we got to watch a lot of competitions. And then in December 2007, him and my dad were killed in a car accident. So having him had expressed to me that summer, like, this is what you need to do, it kind of weighed heavy on my heart. I mean, it took some time to get back in shape to try to even think about getting into racing. I had gained 30 pounds, a couple kids, doing nothing. So in 2013, I decided I was going to go to U.S. Nationals and give it a shot. So I competed in my racing frame from 2000. Let's say I was in it, but didn't fit. Like, I was on top of the chair. So I go to San Antonio, and I'm there in, not this chair, but another wheelchair company, Eagle out of Georgia. They're like, you need a new frame. I'm like, yeah. He's like, let me fit you. He's like, I think you could still be competitive once again. So he fitted me for a new chair, and I received an email maybe a month later that said I qualified for World Championships. I couldn't believe it. I had finished 4th in the 100, 4th in the 200, and 3rd in the 4, because I was still kind of a sprinter. I was like, okay. So I go to Worlds, and it was in Lyon, France, and I remember, so great new technology thing, right? It's called the internet. They stream everything. So I qualified for the 200 and the 400. And the 100, but the 100 still wasn't my strong suit. So my first event was the 400 meter, and so my family's watching it back home, and so there's commentary being done on me. And they come up to each person and they say that I'm not even a contender, that the field do not have to worry about me. Won a bronze medal. It was great. He's like, wow, I wish they would have done their research on you. They're like, they didn't really know who you were. So I won a bronze medal in the 4, and I also won a bronze medal in the 200 meter. And I had pushed such fast times that I ended up qualifying for the U.S. national team. So that was just a year coming out of retirement. So it was pretty awesome. I'm like, this is good stuff. Like, I'm going to be able to make it to Rio. So my whole focus is Rio. So 2014, not a good year for me. I got kicked off the team. My times, I had put on a lot of muscle, and so it kind of slowed me down. So all of this is just a learning experience for me. I'm racing against people who are 20, in their 20s, I'm 40. So I'm always kind of tweaking, like, what can I do to get faster? Where can I improve? So if I was going to quit, it would have been 2014. 2015 come along, I'm faster. I slimmed down some more. Now I'm down to like 110 pounds. I'm like, you need to lose about 12 more pounds. So like, they're on me. I'm at the training center. This is what you need to do. You need to change your diet. I'm like, I've been on this diet for a year. I just think maybe my mind, I'm in a chair, maybe like I'm not burning as much, I'm using half my body. Like, I'm just justifying why it's taking me so long to lose all this weight. So 2016 come along, and qualifying for Rio was probably the most stressful experience of my life. Things have changed so much, where it focused on just nationals to qualify for the Paralympics. These one event. Oh, and in the 100 meter, anybody ever been overhydrated? It's worse than being dehydrated. So they have you do drug testing to make sure you're clean in your sport. And so we get drug tested at random. Well, I'm there and I get drug tested and had to drink. So I ended up drinking way too much. It was a miserable experience. So then I'm trying to go to the committee like, okay, like my time was not good, because it's based off your time. It doesn't matter if you win the event. If you don't hit a certain time, you don't go for that event. So I'm like freaking out. Like, they accepted it because they had the medical staff come to me and do my blood pressure, and they can tell that I was under distress. And so I was like, okay. So the 200 meter, they didn't have the 200 meter. That event's out. It was the 400 meter. That was my next fastest time. Qualified, hands down, second fastest time in the world at that event. So I was like, so I qualified. So they bring us into this huge room with all the athletes from track and field, and they name off who makes the team in front of everybody. Yes. And there's some young kids trying out for this team that think they've made it because they finished third and they didn't understand the concept. You might have finished third, but you are 5 seconds slower than what you need to be. There's a lot of heartbreak in that room. And so, you're trying to be happy for yourself. Yeah, I'm a mom, so I'm feeling bad for these kids who are crying. It was really stressful. So Rio, there's a lot to say about Rio. It was a good experience going to Rio. I did not bring any family. I decided probably wasn't maybe the best environment for the kids. You just heard so many negative things about it. But for me personally, the Team USA is so supportive, and we had just like a great lounge area for us with food that they knew U.S. athletes would eat, because the food over there wasn't the best. They say it is, but not for us who aren't, especially us from the Midwest. I wasn't a big fan. So you guys heard all the stories with the water. That was real. Rio, yeah. I don't know if I'd go back. I don't think I'd go back. But the racing experience, being with all of these athletes again and being able to be on that international stage again and bringing home a medal was quite nice. And the fact that my family could watch it as it was happening back home, that was also really nice. They knew what was going on, and it was instant. The 400 meter, that was once again my signature event. China, that's our biggest competitor. Tatiana McFadden, she's the #1 athlete in the world, and she's American, and she shoots out like a rocket, and I just have my head down, and I'm like, I have got to beat China. Like, these girls are fierce. And coming down that straightaway, I mean, Tatiana might have got us by maybe a second, but the real race was between me and China, and they were alongside of me. We were just battling down that 100 meter straight. So once again, I felt like I won, but it was a silver medal, and the craziest thing about that silver medal is it was faster than my world record that I set in 1996. So I was faster than what I was 20 years ago. So for me as an athlete, that was the best I could do that day. So now I'm focusing on London. It's in July, so this is what I'm training for now. I train 6 days a week. I train 3 to 4 hours a day depending on what I do. I do a lot of swimming, do a lot of weightlifting. When the weather is bad outside, my gym lets me keep a roller, so I hook my chair up to it and it just spins. So I'm able to put in mile and work on some overspeed stuff during the winter. And that's just what I do. I can get up to about 20 miles an hour on a straight on the track. On the road, I can get up to about 23. It's a little bit harder of a surface, better rolling. Down the hill, I've been up to like 38. Just gotta hope you don't hit a pebble or hit a crack. I have flipped. I've been in a couple of accidents. That's just part of it. I always wear a helmet. This frame weighs about, it's like 13 pounds. It's really light. People always look at it and they always think it has to be heavy. It always takes like airlines by surprise. Like they think it's going to be heavy. Like, oh, it's so light. Yeah. Yep.
Made out of like
Aluminum.
fancy aluminum.
Aluminum. They're starting to make them out of like carbon fiber. And technology is always changing. That was the beauty part of coming back into the sport, was seeing it evolve, of taking such a huge break. It's been nice to be a part of it. Some of the things we dreamed about as athletes back then are reality now. And so some of these young kids are complaining. I'm like, you guys don't even know how bad it was. Like they're actually paying us to go places. It was never like that before. We always had to fundraise and get donations. But now they have like national teams and they send us places. So it's much better this time around.
I noticed you have pneumatic tires here. Where over there is the stuff?
This is my little baby starter chair. It was great. That helped me get to where I needed to be. That was the start of it all.
Is that the chair from 96 that you raised in?
No, this is the one from 94. This was my very, very first chair. And then after 94, and the town helped me raise funds for this, I got sponsored by this company. And things got a little bit tighter and neater. It just wasn't a stocked chair. It's like, okay, let's fly you out. Let's measure you perfect. So things kind of got a little bit better after that.
What do chairs run?
So this chair, the frame itself is $6,000. The wheels are like $2,500. Yeah.
How much difference does it make? I mean, you know, the equipment are speeds a lot faster now because the equipment allows for that? Or?
The equipment, we've changed the way we are positioned in our racing chairs. That chair I sat more at an angle. They figured out aerodynamics, so now we're flat to get more power out of our push. Yeah, I think things have gotten faster, like especially for like track stuff. It's pretty much the same. Like my world record in the 100 meter was 16.2. The world record now is 15.9. So I mean, it's a little faster because I think the way we've changed positions. But like on the road, like if you could do a marathon back then about 2 hours, you were good. Now you have to be 1:40 to be a good marathon wheelchair racer. I'm at 2 hours and 1 minute. I haven't got that, but I'm not a marathoner. I love the track. I'm a sprinter. Yeah.
You do some of your practicing on the Nebraska City High School track?
I do all my training on the track.
Watch you go around there many times.
Yep.
You go pretty fast.
We do. And the thing I like about the high school track is it's the squishy. So I'm actually probably going slower, so when I get on a competitive track, I'm like, oh yeah, this is great.
And then can you swim in Nebraska City?
I do. So the Wellness Center has a pool. So normally, like during the week, I would do like a 30-minute swim sprint, and then it would be like a 30-minute just long, easy, and then I would do a mile on Saturdays. Just everything to kind of keep it going. Things changed. Never did that 20 years ago. I don't have a sponsor, but I am on Team USA. So they send me places and help me with funding. So like I was saying, like every time just this tire pops, it's $80. Gloves are $100. So these are my racing gloves. They just slip on, and I'm hitting the wheel. I'm not grabbing anything. It's just like I'm punching it. I have gone through the wheel, sliced my hand open. It was a week before Nationals in 2013, so I was actually pushing with stitches, and my hand was bandaged up. We do what we got to do.
This is kind of a personal question, but when you swim, I mean, I'm thinking if I don't use my legs, my legs are driving me down. Do you use a flotation, or do they use your legs?
I don't use a flotation. I probably look like I'm drowning, but it works. I do it a lot of drag, but it's building more upper body strength, right? Yeah. And I do, it's mainly, my main strokes is just like, this one's the one where I do a lot of sprinting. I can't do a backstroke. Shoulders are too bad, so I don't do that. Shoulders aren't the best. I've had surgery on this one after 2000. So if I stay healthy, they're trying to get me to commit to Tokyo, so we'll see. It's still on the books. I'll be like 43. We'll see. Yep.
Thank you, everyone. If there are more questions, or if you want to get a closer
And you get to come look at my medals.
please come on up.
Yes.
But I know there's people who need to leave. So thank you so much. And let's
Thank you.
Biggest event, that's what.
The largest crowds from that hand.